During a work Zoom, my girlfriend forgot to mute her mic. What I overheard changed everything. Last Wednesday, while she was on a Zoom meeting for work, my girlfriend forgot to mute her mic. I wasn't eavesdropping. I wasn't even trying to listen in, but I heard her say in a low, amused whisper, "God, I hope he doesn't propose. How do you turn down a guy who pays your rent?" Then I heard her coworker laugh and say, "Just marry him and get divorced later. You'll walk away with half." I didn't laugh. I closed my laptop screen without a word. This morning, she woke up to find her credit card disconnected and 47 missed calls sitting on her phone. I'm posting this from a throwaway account for obvious reasons. Some details have been slightly altered to keep things private. I never thought I'd be the type of guy who ends up in a situation like this, used for money while the woman I love secretly looked down on me. But here I am, still struggling to understand how 3 years of what I believed was a genuine relationship unraveled in under 3 minutes. Let me start at the beginning. I'm 34 and I met Serena, who's 31, at a community garden event. I was volunteering there as part of my company's outreach efforts. She was the lead speaker running a workshop on sustainable city living. She was sharp, passionate, and confident when she spoke about her job, marketing for an environmental nonprofit. We hit it off quickly, bonding over similar views and a shared love for old-school indie music. 6 months later, we were living together in my apartment. From the start, we had an arrangement that seemed fair. I work as a software engineer and earn a lot more than she does. She was committed to her cause, but her nonprofit salary was stretched thin between rent, student loans, and daily expenses. So we agreed. I'd handle the rent and the bulk of our living costs. In return, she would take care of groceries, her car loan, and build up an emergency fund for both of us. It felt balanced. She got to stay in a career she believed in, and I felt good knowing I was helping someone I loved. And for almost 3 years it seemed to work, or at least I believed it did. We traveled together, we hosted cozy little dinners for friends. We talked casually, then more seriously about our future. I even started setting aside money for an engagement ring. I'd picked out a spot in Barcelona where I thought I'd propose during our upcoming trip. Then the truth hit me, not in some big dramatic reveal, but in a casual moment that shattered everything. I was working from our second bedroom, which doubled as my office. Serena was out in the living room on a Zoom call with her marketing team. I had my noise-canceling headphones on and was buried in code when I realized I needed to check in with her about dinner plans with my parents. I took the headphones off and was just about to call her name when I heard her speaking. Her voice was softer than usual, like she didn't want anyone else to hear. I paused. Her team must have been in between topics or waiting for someone to join, because what I heard wasn't work talk. She was speaking to someone named Jenna. "So he's been talking about how Barcelona might be really special this time," Serena said, chuckling. "God, I just hope he doesn't propose. How do you say no to a guy who literally pays your rent?" I stood frozen in the hallway, just out of her sight. Jenna laughed. "That's a tough one. Just marry him and split later. You'll walk away with some benefits." They both burst into laughter. "I know, right?" Serena said. "But seriously, I am not ready to be locked down, especially not with Nathan. He's a nice guy, but God, he's so dull, like the living embodiment of beige walls. Stable, quiet, but beige," Jenna replied. "Yeah, but beige walls come with financial perks." "Exactly," Serena said. "That's the only reason I've stayed this long. My savings have never looked better. My loans are almost gone. Give it another year, and I'll have enough to move out on my own. I just have to make it through without a ring showing up," Jenna asked. "You think he suspects anything?" Serena laughed softly. "Not at all. He's clueless. Just last week, he started talking about having kids in a few years." I smiled and nodded, but all I was thinking about was how much more I needed to save before I could get my own place. The trick is to give him just enough attention to keep him content without actually committing to anything. Then her voice changed. "Oh, looks like Marcus is back on the call. I'll send those campaign drafts by the end of the day." She was back in professional mode, and I backed into the office like I'd been slapped. I sat down in front of my screen, but my head wasn't on work anymore. My stomach was in knots. I suddenly saw the last 3 years in a completely different light. Her dodging conversations about our future, how her affection often grew after I paid for something expensive, and how she always kept her friends separate from me, as if I were just a roommate she didn't want around her real life. I didn't burst out of the room. I didn't say a word. I didn't even cry. I just sat there, stunned and sick to my core. When she finished work that evening, we had dinner like usual, watched a couple episodes of our favorite show, went to bed. She had no idea I knew, but I didn't sleep. Instead, I came up with a plan. The next morning, I got up early. I called my parents to cancel dinner plans, blaming it on work. Then I got in touch with my bank and credit card companies. Serena had been an authorized user on 2 of my cards, mainly for household things and emergencies. I had her removed immediately and requested new cards with different numbers for myself. Then I updated all our shared utility accounts, switched them from my credit cards to my checking account, which she didn't have access to. I also contacted our landlord and said I needed to go over the lease. Last, I texted my best friend Eric and asked if I could stay at his place for a few days. I didn't explain much, just said I needed some time away. He said yes without hesitation. The next 2 days were rough. I kept up the appearance of everything being normal. We cooked together, talked about our days. She never noticed anything off, which only proved how little she paid attention to me emotionally. That Friday, she said she was going out with some friends and would be home late. Perfect. While she was gone, I packed a bag with essentials, clothes, documents, my laptop, and some things that mattered most to me. I didn't touch any of her stuff, but I did take the emergency card she kept in her desk drawer. Then I left a note on the kitchen counter. Serena, I heard what you said to Jenna on Wednesday about your plan to leave once you've saved enough. I've taken you off my accounts and taken back the emergency card. I'll cover rent through the end of next month, so you have time to figure things out. But everything else stops now. I deserve more than to be someone's financial stepping stone. Nathan. Then I drove to Eric's place and turned off my phone. When I turned my phone back on Sunday morning, it buzzed non-stop. Serena had called me 47 times. She'd left 16 voicemails and sent 39 texts, all in a frenzied spiral that started with confusion and quickly descended into desperation. Apparently, she tried to use the credit card at a bar on Friday night and was stunned when it got declined. Then she came home to find an empty closet and my note on the counter. That's when the panic set in. I read through the messages in order. First came the confusion. What conversation with Jenna? I don't get it. What's going on? Then the anger. You're seriously blowing something out of proportion. This is insane. Just call me. Next came the guilt trips. Please, can we just talk? You misunderstood something. I was venting, okay? People say stupid stuff sometimes. And finally the real concern showed up. Not about losing me, but about losing the lifestyle. I can't afford rent on my own. You know that. What am I supposed to do now? I only have $1,726 in my account. My student loans are due next week. You can't just abandon me. At least help me come up with a transition plan. This isn't fair. That last word stuck with me. Fair. What wasn't fair was pretending to love someone while secretly treating them like a stepping stone. What wasn't fair was crafting a relationship around financial convenience while letting the other person believe it was about building a future together. Eric, my best friend, has been solid through all of this. When I finally told him everything that happened, he wasn't even shocked. That hurt more than I expected. He said, "Man, I didn't want to say anything, but a few of us had our suspicions. The way she acted sometimes, it always felt kind of transactional, like she was more into what you could do than who you were." That was a bitter truth to swallow. I had convinced myself we were partners, equals. Now it was becoming clearer by the hour that she'd been playing a different game entirely. But what really shook me came the next day. I answered a call, not from Serena, but from her coworker, Jenna, the same woman who was laughing along with her on that Zoom call. She sounded shaken. "Nathan, I'm so sorry," she began. I had no idea she was actually serious. I thought it was just a bad joke. Dark humor, you know. People say stuff sometimes. I never imagined she meant it. Then Jenna said something that made my blood run cold. She told everyone at work you just walked out without a word. I couldn't keep quiet anymore. This isn't the first time she's done this. I sat down, heart pounding. "What do you mean?" "She's had 2 other live-in boyfriends before you," Jenna said. "Same pattern every time. She'd move in with someone stable, let them cover the big expenses, quietly save everything she could, and leave once she had enough stacked away. One of her exes even worked here for a bit. That's how I found out. When she started dating you, I remembered what I'd heard before. Then she said the part that broke whatever pieces of illusion were still holding on. She has a spreadsheet, a literal spreadsheet with projections for how long it'll take to save what she needs before leaving. Your name is in one of the cells, right next to a dollar amount." I didn't know whether to laugh or throw up. I thanked Jenna for her honesty, hung up, and just sat there for a long time. It was like I'd been trying to solve a puzzle for years, thinking maybe I was imagining the missing pieces. That phone call finally completed the picture. Serena hadn't fallen out of love. She'd never really been in it, at least not in the way I was. This wasn't about me being boring or too stable. It was about her approaching relationships with cold logic and calculation. I wasn't a partner, I was a financial strategy. It's been 10 days now. I've moved back into my apartment since Serena found a friend's place to stay temporarily. I told her she has until the end of next month to collect her things. I'm sticking to that. She's tried a dozen tactics to get me to change my mind. Tearful apologies, rewritten stories, claims that she was just scared. She's even tried seduction. Showed up one night wearing lingerie under her coat like we were in some kind of rom-com. I didn't open the door. The financial reality of what happened has been even more revealing. Once I started digging, I calculated that I'd spent roughly $64,000 over the course of our relationship on rent, utilities, travel, takeout, gifts, everything. All while she pocketed her salary and squirreled it away. That $1,726 she claimed to have. Another lie. During one of her more desperate calls, when I told her again that I wouldn't reinstate her on any of my accounts, she slipped and mentioned a separate savings account I never even knew existed. Turns out she had over $27,000 stashed away. Some people have told me I should feel humiliated, embarrassed that I got played, but I don't. I went into the relationship with a good heart and good intentions. I gave generously. I believed in love and in supporting your partner, especially when they're doing work that matters to them. That doesn't make me weak. That makes her manipulative. I even donated the engagement ring I'd bought to a local charity auction. Watching it turn into something that might do actual good instead of sitting in a drawer full of regrets was surprisingly healing. As for the missed calls, they've passed the 100 mark now. But most of them are from random numbers. Serena's probably been borrowing phones as I keep blocking hers. I've stopped answering anything that doesn't come from someone I trust. And you know what's strange? I feel lighter, despite the betrayal. Despite the heartbreak, there's an odd sense of peace that comes when your worst fears are confirmed. No more wondering, no more questioning whether you're imagining the inconsistencies, no more giving someone the benefit of the doubt when they've done nothing to deserve it. I don't regret supporting someone I cared about. I do regret that she never truly cared back, but at least I found out before I proposed. Before we got married, before there were children or shared accounts or legal ties that would have made this even harder to escape. If there's a takeaway from all this, it's probably something simple. If someone's going to plan how they'll use you and toss you aside, they better make damn sure they're on mute.